And welcome back to the We'll Take It From Here podcast. Another week, another episode. However, first, we are going to bring you our show's sponsor, because this episode is brought to you by Honest Supplements. Now, Joe, what's Honest Supplements? Well, let me tell you. In a world that is plagued by new illness outbreak every other day, it's important to keep your body performing at its best with the right vitamins and supplements. However, these products can get expensive, especially with rising prices all around us. Honest Supplements has resolved that problem. They mark up all products by just $1, saving their members an average of 50% per product. Yes, that means that the protein you're paying $60 for is only $30 on their website. They have everything from vitamins, sports supplements, recovery, weight loss, CBD, and so much more. It costs just $10 a month or $99 for the entire year to join the Honest Supplements Club. Timmy and I are both members and can advocate for the amount of money that you will save. And do we also mention that all products are third-party lab tested? Because that's the only true way to prove vitamins and supplements actually contain the ingredients that they claim. Don't wait. Go to Honest Supplements right now to join today and start taking better care of your health. And it's right. If you train jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, or just in the gym, you better be taking Honest Supplements. So go to their website, guys. All right. Now it's time for the show. And welcome back, folks. We'll take it from here with Joe, Timmy, and we got our man Ruggsy back here. Jake, who was on episode, I forgot, it's
170 something.
170 something, I think. No,
I think it was 159.
159.
Oh, was that long ago?
Because I forwarded it to.
I'm looking it up right now.
Okay, gotcha. So 159. If you want to, see the first episode, listen to the first episode. We're on YouTube now, guys. We got the YouTube back. We got it rolling. Obviously, if you're looking on YouTube, 159.
159.
Got it. 159. And we're on Spotify and Apple. Please share the show if you get something out of it, and just if you're entertained or with you thought. That's what it is. This show is here to entertain you, make you think. Anything else? Honest Supplements. You already heard the ad in the beginning. Definitely take your Honest Supplements if you're working out, doing jiu-jitsu, doing Muay Thai, whatever. If you need recovery, if you just need to enhance your muscles, you need to enhance your joints, use it. Protein. It's delicious. All natural as well, I believe, right?
They have the highest level of supplemental testing that you can get.
That's what I should say. Thank you. Let's get right into it, because last week, folks, we had a episode with just me and Timmy, and
my tinfoil hat on.
Put the tinfoil hat. All right, here's your.
Joe is going crazy, but now we have the witness here.
So I remember that. You guys probably remember that I mentioned something around my Instagram and on the actual episode about a stick driving a Honda Element. Well, Jake was one of the four people that were in the car and was the first or one of the first to point it out. So we are not crazy. What did you see?
All right. So to preface here, this was 2 Fridays ago. We were in the office, and for those of you that don't know, it's really not that big of a deal. Not a long story, but I don't drive. So we were trying to figure out where we were going to go for lunch that day. So a couple of people in the office said, hey, how about Chipotle? The caveat is, Ruggs, you have to drive. I don't drive, don't have my license. It's a long story. We don't need to belabor that point. That being said, I said, and I quote, you have a better shot of a ghost driving us there or nobody being in the driver's seat. I didn't know this part of the story.
Wow.
Nobody being in the driver's seat at all, getting you there much more safely. I said if I ever were to drive, it would be very robotic looking, very slow. It would look incredibly awkward, incredibly stupid. So let's not go down that route. Anyway, we like to go for a walk after we finish the first half of the day. We go walk around the back of the campus. There's a little pond area. It's very scenic. There's turtles chilling, this, that, and the other thing. So we do that for about 20 minutes. Super hot. We're like, all right, let's go. It's 4 of us. It is myself in the front passenger seat. It is our buddy Mark in the driver's seat. It is our fearless leader and boss behind Mark in the back. passenger seat, and then there's Joe behind me. So we're driving, right? We're having a pretty serious work conversation leading up to this, getting pretty deep into the weeds, mindset, really making sure you recalibrate for the new year coming up, and really having what I felt was good dialogue. I'm sure you would agree.
Yeah, it was very good dialogue.
So we're driving, right? And we're getting to a point where we have to make a left turn to get into the proper lane to go across to turn to Chipotle. So from my vantage point, I see a car coming towards me that I have not seen in a very long time. Didn't know quite what it was until it got to about 40 feet away. I see it and I say, holy crap, that is a boxy looking car. It's a Honda Element. It's like a greenish gray.
I would say gray, not more so than green. Gray.
We had the picture from last time that I never posted that video.
So super gray Honda Element. We'll say for sake of argument, this was an 07. Just for sake of argument, right?
But it's important. It is important because a lot of you probably are thinking, well, yeah, we have self-driving cars now. Not in 07, not from a Honda.
Yes, this was pre-2008 crash. George Bush was still president.
Yeah.
Let's just put that into perspective. Okay. So as this is getting closer and closer, nothing out of the ordinary. Just the ugliest looking car known to man. Besides that, nothing out of the ordinary.
No, I'm sorry. That goes to the Aztec. Yeah. This is the second ugliest.
1A and 1B.
The Walter White car.
Yeah. We'll induct them both into the ugly Hall of Fame at the same time. So we're getting closer, right? The car makes a turn, and really split second, I see something that just does not pass the smell test, or the eye test in this case.
I smell whatever taste.
So I'm like, okay, I don't say anything. Then I wait for a second, and then we turn. So suddenly we're here, and then the car is to the right of us. So now you can get a clear view of what's going on in the front seat. I'm like, am I the only one that saw that? And Mark turns around and goes, you saw that too? And I was like, yeah. So then our boss behind us is like, what the fuck are you idiots talking about? Like, can we curse on here?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it makes sense.
I've cursed so many times.
All right, anyway, so he's like, what the fuck are you idiots talking about? Like, let me get a peek. I was like, thinking to myself, I don't know if you want a peek of this. So we pull up alongside, and in my opinion, initially, I thought maybe this is somebody in a burqa. Nothing wrong with wearing a burqa. Well, the problem is there's no eye hole. So rule that out. Then I'm thinking maybe, without getting too graphic, here, I thought maybe it was a gentleman in the driver's seat, getting some loving from the person in the passenger seat. Maybe that's why he was leaning back, and, you can kind of, figure it out from there. That didn't check out either. So it looked like a broomstick with a black shower curtain draped over it.
Yep.
Now, I don't know if some of you out there think that can drive a car. I don't. So our boss peers over and goes, I don't like what's going on right now. He starts to get red in the face. So then I'm thinking, holy shit, there is something nefarious going on in this car right now, because all the windows are down. There's nobody in the front seat. I'll go to my grave. There's nobody in the front seat.
There was nobody in the back seat.
Nobody in the back seats. There's nobody in the passenger seats. So unless Peter Dinklage, who, if those of you who don't know, Game of Thrones, is from New Jersey, by the way, unless he was operating this vehicle, which he wasn't because there was nobody in the car, obviously, there was something not so great about to go down, in my opinion. So I said, Mark, I don't care if you got to cut off a million cars, get us the fuck out of Dodge, get us to Chipotle. So he pulls in front. So we get ahead. So there's two cars between us and the Devilmobile. So
the Devilmobile. I'm trying to see if there's anything on Google if there's this anyone else said this.
So over by where we were, there's a building called there's like a
Capital Lighting,
right? So this car suddenly makes this extremely robotic, weird turn into that parking lot, and is just gliding across the parking lot. Then it suddenly cuts off about 3 or 4 cars heading eastbound on Route 10 over where we were. So I bring that up because I said before, if I were to be operating a vehicle, it would look very robotic, very slow, very methodical. This is what this car was doing, but there was nobody operating it.
Dude.
So, Joe, take it from here. Let me know Let me know how close you were to shitting bricks.
Well, I wasn't close to shitting bricks as much as being like, what's going on? Like, what? Because I thought it was a hijab too, and then I was like, no, this person would have to be 20 fucking pounds and a legit stick, because that's what it was. Yeah. It was like, there's no way. There was no holes. There was no nothing. This person would have to be smaller than my arm to be wearing a hijab. Doesn't make any sense. So yeah, the fact that it was definitely remote controlled. That's what I think it was. Yeah. Which doesn't make it better, because why is someone driving a remote control car? Why are the cops allowing it from our knowledge? Why they didn't
we don't know
over?
that they're allowing it or not. We just the car wasn't pulled over yet.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I feel like if you're driving on Route 10, like what do you like? So that car has license plate. Yeah. Everyone, first of all, the first thing everyone asked us is a great question. Why didn't we take a video? Well, you're not really thinking at that point.
But it's not a great question, because when you're like completely taken out of your element and you're on your back heels, your first instinct isn't to take out your phone and take a picture. You do that when you see something beautiful. You go see the Great Wall of China. You go to see a dolphin at SeaWorld. You're at Ringling Brothers, and circuit. You're gonna take out a video. Do that. Fireworks. Something where you're anticipating. You understand what you're looking at, what you're dealing with. But if it's something that is completely goes against the grain of anything defying logic and what you know to be reality of somebody operating a vehicle, you're not going to take out your phone. My brother raised one point that I think is legitimate. He said, if it were me, I would have gotten down the license plate. And I said, okay, that's fair. But again, you got to understand, this is 4 people, split second.
Yeah.
We're completely out of our depth with this. We don't know what to think. So I think the folks at the office weren't cutting us a little bit of slack.
You know what this could be? This is like if the Home Alone, this is something you would see in Home Alone, where this genius kid makes a fucking thing in a car because he needs to get a message to someone, and then there's a character in a movie just being like, "What?" That's what we were like in the fucking movie.
Straight out of fucking Warner Brothers.
Now, seriously, this is what it was. And my sister made a good point too. My sister goes, "Yeah, why didn't you call the cops and just be like, hey, there's a self-driving car?" And I was like, you know what? I didn't think, because I didn't have any oh, there's this danger right now to call the cops. But probably what it would have been a little bit of a smarter move would to be calling the East Hanover non-emergency line, just being like, hey guys,
just call dispatch directly.
Yeah, hey guys, you got a self-driving stick in a fucking car in a Honda Element that shouldn't be driving itself going east on Route 10. Might want to check it out.
Just imagine the dispatcher like, what the fuck did they just tell me?
Yeah, excuse me, just be like, no, seriously, it's a self-driving stick car. Don't know what's going on. It's on Route 10. When you see it, you're going to be like, what the fuck is this? Just,
I have a question. Yeah. Could you see in the car?
Yeah, there was nobody.
You could see in the car because all the windows were down, and so the way the lanes were, we were so close together, and from my vantage point, I was in the passenger seat.
Not even the back seat.
Not even back seat. I thought at first that someone was being taken in one of those self-Ubers that they have in California, but these things don't check out. You don't have a Honda Element as a self-driving Uber.
It wasn't a Waymo.
It wasn't a Waymo. And then they look completely different. And 2, there was nobody in the back seat. I was looking, I was like, oh, there's nobody in the fucking back seat.
Interesting.
Here's the thing. So my brother raised one possibility. He said this is probably not the case. He said, what if it was somebody doing a TikTok prank where they printed on the seat, they kind of made a printout or I don't know how it would look, but almost like a printout of the driver's seat of the the stick with the curtain over it, but it was actually a person occupying it, but they just blended in with everything. I said, "There's no way." I said, "Who would have nothing better to do than to do a TikTok prank in East Hanover, New Jersey?"
No, but that's not even it. It wasn't dry. Because look, you even brought this point up last week.
Yes, he said, "What if it was something like that?" And I said, "There's no way."
No way.
Because you could see that there was a stick. There was a stick underneath the curtain,
dude. And we were in a car that was level with the height of that car, and I did not see. I would have been able to see the hands, and that's what you were bringing up last episode. There was no one was on there, and even if you have something like that can see through, I mean, I guess if your hands are at the bottom of the steering wheel, that could explain why the car is going a little jerky, because you're not really having the best control.
Yeah, but you run the risk of the cops pulling you over.
Oh yeah, screwed.
They're like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And suddenly you're facing some pretty serious heat for that.
Well, if that thing did get caught, which I'm pretty sure someone was remote controlling it, they're fucked anyway, because you got the license plate number, they track you down.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just fucking wild.
They're lucky they didn't do this somewhere down south, bro, where you get some good old boys who, think that there's some real danger. They take out a couple of shotties and...
Well, yeah, but I mean, at that point, like, you just lost a stick and probably your interior, which sucks. I don't know, man. It was weird. I really don't... and it's like, it didn't come up anywhere.
Yeah, no.
Well, I was waiting.
The self-driving self-driving car with the person dressed as the seat has happened a bunch of times. Vice did a whole thing on it, but I was trying to find if there was like a Honda Element one. There's nothing.
No, but like I'm telling you, he had a fucking SUV like truck, right? Not truck.
You were driving in?
The Jeep. Yeah, it was a Jeep. We would have been able to see, like when I looked in, I would have been able to see the hands. There was nothing. There was nothing protruding from the seat except a stick.
Could have been, so the guy was in the seat, but he had his controls and he wasn't touching the steering wheel.
Here's where I think that it could be like that, not in the seat, but in the trunk, and he has a camera. Mm-hmm. And he's literally driving from the trunk.
I don't know.
I could see that. That I could see.
I just think it's...
This thing was modded. It was modded.
Yes, 100%. Yes, this was a jailbroken Honda.
No, seriously, it was modded. That's for sure.
Oh, we need to track this car down.
Yo.
I was waiting for it to be on CNN because in our building, in the cafeteria, there's a TV that always has the news on. I wanted to just walk in there and just be like, be on the lookout for that 2007 Honda Element
with our fucking shit. Oh my god!
I'm gonna text my buddy right now.
I would have lost it. I would have completely lost it.
He's in the police department, right?
Yeah, of the town.
Nice. Yeah, man. So I'm glad you were able to. What's the word?
Validate.
Thank you. Validate the story.
Yes, we are vindicated. This really happened. I'll go to my grave saying that it happened. It played out the way that it did. And to the people, and you know who you are at the office on our team who said that we made this up.
It's a stupid thing to wake up.
We had nothing better to do than to come up with this story. We're more creative than Spielberg coming up with this story. And we picked the most random car known to man, a Honda Element. Like, come on, bro.
Dude, it's too much effort to fucking try to make up that story. Stupid. Oh, man. But anyway, folks, it's July 5th. I forgot to say that. So happy late 4th of July. Start off, you got your firecrackers last night, and this episode starts off with a banger of a fucking story about a fucking self-driving car. That being said, you enjoyed America's birthday yesterday?
Of course, yeah. It hits close to home for me because obviously I come from a military family, so it just hits a little differently because I think of my brother over in London right now where he lives. My other brother lives in North Carolina with his baby boy that was just born, so
congratulations.
It hits a little different, from my area just because growing up we used to all be together, and now we're all on different parts of the world, other sides of the pond. But I think we're in an interesting time in this country's path right now, where I think it's not ridiculous to say there's about half of this country that couldn't care less about yesterday, and there's another half who understand the importance of it and acknowledge that we're certainly not perfect, but it's a pretty divided time. But it's nice to be able to forget about all that on a day like yesterday and just barbecue, get in the pool, have good food, and play some basketball.
Well, yeah, and yesterday the when you're doing that and you're enjoying that, and this weekend you're enjoying that, that's what July 4th, 1776 was. It allowed us to do that. Allowed us to be relaxed, free to an extent, but I won't get into that too much unless you want to. Free to an extent. That's what we're based off of, and allowing us to do that. So yesterday, when you were obviously, it was the liberation of our country, and yes, there were people who died, and there are people who died for our liberties, and that is very important. But we were also able to just enjoy it because of the significance of that day. So thank you all. I know this is not Memorial Day or Veterans Day, but it's thanks to everyone, like your brothers, like everyone who's come before, all the men and women who served and allow us to live in this country and do what we do and have the freedom of speech. So salute to you. Happy 4th to everybody. Yeah, dude.
I just want to say one more thing to that point, actually. I think it's important to remember that you can draw appreciation to people who live in America. It doesn't have to just be, some, notable politician from 150 years ago. It doesn't have to be an athlete. It doesn't have to be somebody in show business, whatever. It could be the guy who owns a pizzeria that you've been going to for the past 30 years in your neighborhood. The people that are trying to make it here, that just want to mind their own business, be good in their community, raise their family correctly, and make an honest buck.
Yeah.
So I think that sometimes we like to think that the best examples of America are the most prominent people. It's the people that you don't know.
Yeah, but dude, that could be anybody. That's a great point. That could be anybody. Like, this is what people don't understand. We as just, I hate to use the word ordinary, as quote unquote ordinary people that aren't in the limelight, that maybe didn't do anything yet that has been in the light or extraordinary. That doesn't mean that we're not extraordinary. Mm-hmm. You just got to do if you believe it, you'll one day do something that's incredible, and you've probably already done something that's incredible. Think about we just because it's not highlighted on TV, or you're not a fucking famous athlete, or you didn't build this business, does not mean that you haven't inspired or touched people's lives in some way. And the one thing that irks me the most is people who really think that they're not capable of anything because their upbringings. Oh, I can't do this because I was told this, and I can't be incredible, or I can't be extraordinary because of this. No, motherfucker, you can. You're just holding yourself back because there is a fucking way. There's infinite possibilities to get infinite results. Mm-hmm. So if you think that, I can't do this because of that, congratulations. You just limited yourself. Just accept it that you limited yourself and that no one else is limiting you. We're all dealt a different fucking hand, and people will play that hand accordingly. You'll learn where you played it incorrectly and how to play it correctly next time, or you learn, hey, maybe I don't want to play it this way. Maybe I just want to play it this way. Maybe I want to be the pizzeria guy who's providing good pizza to the town, and people know me because I'm a good pizza man, and I'm honest, and I use honest ingredients, and I don't try to rip them off, and every time they come in, I have a great conversation with them. Their family likes to come here and eat because it's a nice time. That's important. That's why I agree with you with that. It doesn't always have to be something fucking extraordinary, but it's okay if you want to be something extraordinary. Mm-hmm. Just know that you can do it. Just because you're not that person yet doesn't mean you won't be that person.
And I think it also comes down to this. It's really cringe to say, but everybody's obsessed with status and having this certain level of clout, out in the world, and it just all that stems from comparing yourself to other people, man. Like, I think it's incredibly underrated just to be able to mind your own damn business, go about your daily life, and you can have an extraordinary one at that. Not everyone needs to know who you are, what you do, what you bring to the table, how you contribute to society. If the right people know that, that's all that matters. But everybody wants to have eyes on them, and it just never understood it, man. Just go about your business. And, we live in a time period where there's so many different ways that you can impact, like even this podcast, right? I'm sure you don't care if it never cracks the top, 50 podcasts in the world. That's not what you're trying to do. You're just trying to get people to think differently. And if you can get somebody to DM you a week from now in an episode that you do in the future and say, hey, man, I never thought of things this way. You got me to mull this over while I was, jogging in my neighborhood or whatever. That's gratification. That's validation that what you're doing is paying off. You don't need $100 million Spotify deal like Rogan has, even though you wouldn't turn that down, I'm sure. No,
I would absolutely not. If that came, I would absolutely take it.
No, he would absolutely take it. But the point I'm trying to make is you have your own vision for what this podcast, this venture will do for you. The same as jiu-jitsu. jiu-jitsu. You want to be able to be functionally fit well into the latter stages of your life, and you want to know that you have the ability and the confidence to defend yourself if something were to arise. You're not doing it so you can go win ADCC or enter into these tournaments. I'm sure you'd love the opportunity if it arose, but that's not what you, Joe Magone, are looking for out of this.
Yeah, no, that's fair to say. No, it's actually fair to say. I'm going to break down. I'm going to break down in parts what you just said because it was very good. One, I actually do have goals. I want to bring this podcast up and actually be one of the top podcasts. That is one of my goals. But two, what you said is every time we've had people. I've had people before Timmy was even on the show, and there was other podcasts, just other episodes where someone's story touched someone else, and they'll tell me about it either in person or reach out. That is gratification. That's awesome. That's proof that the show is doing what it's intended to do. And as long as we can continue to deliver that quality, that's what will help bring the show up and help spread the awareness to everyone. Awareness as in there's a show that will entertain you, make you think, etc., whatever. So yes, I agree with you there. I do actually care if this podcast goes. I want to build this up. I want to have this reach as many people as possible. But another thing too, it's what you want, right? That's what I always say. It's what you want. And yeah, for me, jiu-jitsu is straight for myself. It's fun. I've met a ton of great people from it. I've met a lot of great friends. I'm learning how to defend myself. Yeah, there are times where I think, hey man, I should just stop saying that I'm going to compete, or hey, I've been doing the sparring long enough. I should take it a little bit more seriously and jump in the cage once. Nothing's going to happen. If I get hurt, I get hurt, but I won't get hurt because God's on my side, right? Instead of just being like, maybe I shouldn't do it. But in the end, I'm training for my well-being, like you said. For me, it's not about ADCC, but there are kids and guys and women that train there that compete monthly. And that's awesome. And and they get so much better from it quicker because they're fucking competing and they're putting their skills out. And that's awesome. For the time being, that's not why I do it. So my thing to that is, while I agree with you, it's what you want, right? It's what you want. Do you want to be in the ADCC? Then do it for that. Do you not want to? Then don't do it for that. But then here's where the comparison, and this is where I want to ask you a question. Everyone says the comparison is the thief of joy. Cool. If you say, hey, I'm doing jiu-jitsu because I just want to do it for myself. I want to be able to protect myself and my family. So God forbid something happens outside. Then don't compare yourself when you're like, oh, Johnny Smith over there is fucking crushing me. He's so much better than me. And oh my God, look, he's winning all these things. I should be winning all these things. No, you should then change your style to becoming an athlete that wants to compete in the ADCC and not compare yourself to something you don't want to be. Now, if you change your mind in that journey and start to say, okay, I want to be a competitor now you can compare yourself to him to see how you can get better. Now, this is where I want your opinions, because many people have always said this. I've heard this on many podcasts and just in people in general. Comparisons to the thief of joy. Sure, if you let it crush your soul and not be happy. But don't you think it's also good to compare yourself to someone else that's doing better than you to see where you can get better?
I'll let you take this.
Here's the interesting thing, right? When they say comparison is the thief of joy, they're talking about while you're on your journey running your race and you're making your progress, you say, well, I'm a purple belt, for example. I'm a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, but, so-and-so is a black belt. Okay, he's been doing it twice as long as you have. He or she has the resources to train at the most prestigious gyms and drop X amount of money to make sure that they can have that membership or whatever have you. So what you're doing is you're sullying the work and the progress that you've made because you're not other said individual. What you should be comparing is what principles, what skills, what structure or protocol do they follow, what system do they employ to have the success that they have, and try and replicate that. I think in our profession, what we do for a living, it's very easy to be like, oh, hey, John Doe had a great year. and I'm where I'm at, and I don't like that. That's great. The question should be, what is John Doe doing that is bringing forth the success? Is it the tonality in their voice? Is it their cadence? Is it how slow they talk? Is it how many calls they listen to of themselves? Is it how many books that they read on the side, practicing their script, role-playing their sales process with somebody else, seeking out criticism? Those are the things that you should be asking yourself. But to just do a blanket thing of, oh, hey, I'm running my race, but John Doe or Jane Doe is at the top of the mountain. That's just, it's almost rhetoric. There's nothing constructive that you can extract from that. It's just you're killing your own progress. You're stunting your own progress because you're saying, I'm not them. And that's incredibly dangerous. You should redirect it and say, oh, hey, and when I say you, I don't mean you, Joe, I mean you in general. You should be saying, hey, what are they doing to get to where they need to be and where they're at, and how can I employ a system conducive to my personality, my skill set, my current juncture in my career, in my life, to get to where they are. It's not, oh, why am I not them? It's, what can I do to become my version of who they are, where they are at in their career? That's what I would say.
I like that. And to be honest with you, I know you were saying you in general, but that is actually talking to me, because I was the guy who's blanket comparing. I'm not afraid to admit it. Extremely competitive dude. Am I happy for my teammates and friends? Yes. That doesn't mean I don't want to win as well. So that was me last week, and that actually still is me. So thank you for that advice. I don't care to admit it. I'm competitive. It is what it is. If you have a problem with me being competitive, then that's your problem. No, but Jake is right, because I do need to look at it that way. I do need to. I know it's trust in the process. Not that I hate that saying, because it's very true. I actually like it. It's just when that's the only thing that keeps getting said, it's like, okay, like, all right, fine, I'll trust the process and it'll come. But sometimes
that's almost a cop out, though. It's like you're not giving actual constructive criticism.
No. But like, that's actual constructive criticism, is to take what they're doing and say, okay, maybe I should listen to myself more. Yes. Maybe I should adjust the tonality. And I have been changing all this stuff.
I'm saying trust the process.
Trust the process.
That's the cop out of not actual.
Yes, because you're not peeling that onion back. When you say, Joe, trust the process, what that should translate to in your head is believe in the system that you have in place every day. So, for example, that system for me, if we're talking from a work perspective, is getting up every morning at the same time, going to the gym, not thinking about work until an hour before work starts. And when I get to that point, I'm listening to a call, I'm organizing my list for the day, I'm repeating like a psychopath my script in my home office with my door closed, and I'm literally saying, yes, I'm going through the whole rigmarole, and then I'm pretending to be the client asking me questions. You do that to me is a credible, actionable, and repeatable process that's specified to me. For just to tell somebody, oh, hey, it's the first week of the new fiscal year, we need to lock in. What the fuck does lock in mean to you?
Yeah, dude, this is so true.
And that's going to be different for other people. So for you, my friend, for example, in my humble opinion, it's going to be not focusing, not looking at the ambition score, not looking at daily deals. If I were you, I would move that shit to a folder where you never get to see it unless you go out of your way to see it. And guess what? If you do that, it's on you.
Yeah.
Because you want that poison. You want to take that poison in so bad. You want that. You want a shot of it so bad, but you got to resist that. So what I would say is you shut all that down, and you focus on people that you haven't talked to yet. The people that have ghosted you, they're going to show back up at some point.
One of them already did.
But you want to focus on the new blood. And then the other thing I would say is, and we talked about this, when you compare yourself to other people, the people that you're comparing yourself to aren't thinking about you when they're leaving and driving home. they're not thinking about you.
Yeah, I don't want them to think about you.
You don't want to. I'm gonna reference my favorite movie of all time, which is A Bronx Tale.
Yeah,
Bronx Tale. And the number one quote is when Sonny says, "Nobody cares." And what he's saying is, you don't want to give people a power over you that they don't really have. Because when the chips are really down, nobody really cares about your predicament. And I know that sounds kind of harsh, but that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when people are running their race and they're on their own journey in life, they're not thinking about other people that are going on their own endeavors. They're worried about putting their best foot forward. So the worst thing you can do is to zap the energy and the bandwidth that you have. And life is hard. Life is hard. The regularness of life, like Christopher says in The Sopranos, regularness of life is difficult. You don't want to self-sabotage. The worst thing you can do in life is get in your own way, because there's going to be a shit ton of roadblocks every day that are going to come for you. Don't put your own roadblock in front of you.
Yeah, that's a good point. And just to clarify, and I would compare, and because what you're saying is, as I'm taking it in, it's not that I'm caring so much. I'm not thinking about these people when I go home. Okay, it's in what I was doing before, and I'm gonna work on not doing now, is being like, oh, they're obviously doing something I'm not, right? So what is it? And I would let it bother me. Where now I just don't really fucking care anymore, and not in a bad way. If they do it, they win. Great. Their win. I'm just like fucking, I'm gaslighting myself. I'm starting to tell myself they win means I'm winning next. If I win, they're winning next. I don't care if if you think that's a crock of shit, I bet you it'll work. So now whenever someone puts in a deal, I go, great, I'm next. And even if I'm not next, I go, yep, great, I'm next. And great, I'm next. And I don't give a fuck. I'm gaslighting myself.
That philosophy that you're implementing, right? What do people say in jiu-jitsu all the time? You either win or you learn.
Yeah.
Right? So either you're winning or you're not winning, and then that's a learning experience. Your coworkers, when they're winning, that's still a learning experience either way. If they're not winning too, still. So when they're hitting those sales, you can just be, oh, fuck you, he got it, not me. Or you can be like, how did he do that? Is there something I can take away from that?
Yeah, but here's the thing. I would say that. So mine wasn't fuck him.
Yeah.
Mine was fuck. I'm sitting here making X amount of calls. It's not working. And it just worked for him.
Yeah.
What am I? And instead of just being like, all right, awesome, worked for him. Maybe I should listen to his calls. Maybe I should listen to my calls. Maybe I should change my tonality. Maybe I should not give a fuck about seeing documents, applications signed on his thing and focus on my screen. Like you're saying, right? Focus on me. That's where I'm learning. Just focus on me. It doesn't matter. I'm running my own race, like Jake, you just said. And it's true. I don't know if it's the money aspect behind it. I don't know if it's the career aspect behind it, but it's so much, it's so funny in jiu-jitsu. When I get tapped out, like, it's so weird. I am competitive in jiu-jitsu, but if someone beats me and I know they're better than me because maybe they train more than me, I don't really care.
Yeah.
And then when someone that I know I should be beating catches me, I go, fuck, that sucks.
Fuck, man, I need to step my game up.
No, but like within a matter of a second, it is already gone and I'm not thinking about it anymore. It's not like the classic meme where you going home driving and be like, so-and-so got me, I just got wrecked. I really, when I'm done with jiu-jitsu, it's done. Mm-hmm. It's like, so sometimes I wonder, I'm like, is it the aspect that it's my career? Is it the aspect that there's money to be involved? Is it the aspect that I'm taking that more seriously than jiu-jitsu, and jiu-jitsu is more of a life journey? Then how do I apply that to work? Mm-hmm. Maybe it is. It's a long game. Trust the process. Fine, whatever. But I don't know why I can do it in jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai if I get wrecked in sparring.
I mean, did you do that when you first started jiu-jitsu?
No, I never cared. From
the beginning, you never cared.
Bro, I never cared. The first week, I got my ass mopped. And I would be like laughing in my head, being like, this is fucking cool. I'm learning.
You know why? I think the difference is, and I'm going to take a guess here. So I'm not speaking for you. I'm guessing here. So correct me if I'm wrong. Jiu-jitsu, you came into it knowing, I don't know shit here. Muay Thai, you come in, I don't know shit here. So I'm going to learn. When you came into your job that you're doing now, you came in from being a server, a bartender, and all that stuff. So you have some kind of sales aspect of it. I think maybe the aspect of the sales part is, I have an idea what this is, and then you're going to learn more techniques, but you come into it already with the understanding is I can do this. Where jiu-jitsu, like, it's not that you can't do this. I don't know what this is. I need to learn.
So
do you think that has any of the role? Because you came into it with the predisposition of, I kind of have an idea what sales are.
No. So here's the reason why. There's cold, warm, and hot. Mm-hmm. In the restaurant world, you got volcanic magma, lava, whatever you want to call it, sales. Mm-hmm. They're coming to you. They already know they want to eat. Mm-hmm. This is completely different. I don't care if I was in a sales position.
Yeah.
No. The people aspect of it, yes.
But I'm saying, you know this now. When you first started, did you know the difference?
No, I knew the difference. Yes, okay. Yes. And here's the reason why I'm still saying no. I think what it is for me is in jiu-jitsu, while I am competing and I do, like, there's people I want to beat, right? Mm-hmm. In the end of the day, I'm doing it for myself to get better, to learn self-defense. Whereas when I came into this one, it sort of pitted it up as like, you're on a team, but you're not. Like, I don't care how many, like, I'm not trying to justify my actions need to change for just focusing on myself and being happier and not caring what others on the team put away and being more happy and not letting it affect me when they close and I don't, right? But, and this is where I'm going to, this is the but, our role, and I love I love the people who, like, are our quote unquote managers and VPs. I really do. And I know they listen to the show and I have no problem. And I get where their aspect is coming from when they're trying to constantly put in your face who's closing deals and who has made this amount of dials. I know what they're doing because there are some people who, if you don't do that, they won't make the calls. They're lazy. Okay. Not a lot of people. I'm not talking about anyone on our team. There are people in the region. It's for me, it's funny. And this is where I'm going to take your advice, Jake, of just blinders on. Because it is funny for someone to come into a role and be like, no, dude, you're not competing with everyone, Joe. Stop thinking you're competing with everyone. Hey, everyone, look who's made this many dials. This guy closed 15 fucking deals in a matter of 2 seconds. Oh, my God, he's a fucking great person. And you're like, all right, well, these people are closing.
Yeah. Am
I comparing or not? Now, what I think we've spoken about this, and Cruz and I have spoken about this, Mark. He's like, oh, well, who looks at the activity score? Who looks at the messages you do? Why don't you just click in and click off? And I was like, great point. So that's where I'm going to take your advice.
Yeah, just put it this way. Use an analogy with the news, right? CNN, Fox, CNBC, MSNBC, C-SPAN, whoever, they're going to run their stories. They're going to have their shows on every single day. But if you turn it off, it doesn't exist to you.
Yeah.
If you never turn it on, it doesn't exist in your reality. So if you're never looking at the daily deals and you're never looking at the ambition scores, it's inconsequential to you. It may be consequential to the other 150 people in the region, but if it plays no factor in your day-to-day psyche and what you're doing every single day as you go along in your process, then it doesn't exist to you.
Yeah. You know what? Another thing, too, that I'm learning, because it's a good point. Success is just that. It's success. Obviously, you put in work, right? I know a lot of people, like, when I talk to them, they think, oh, you got to take action. I know. You know who you are when I say that. I know, right? But it's so weird because you brought up before when the clock out comes in, right? And the day is over. Those people don't think about work, right? And those people are the ones who are the top of the...
Well, I didn't say they don't think about work. They don't think about you or I specifically.
Yeah, but there was one person that I spoke to on our team who's a top performer last year who he's like, yeah, dude, like, I don't... When I'm out of the office, work will come into my mind 0.01% of the time. That wasn't his exact words, but he basically said, I don't think about work outside of it. Yeah. And he's doing very well. But we get put into, like, we were told as kids, you have to obsess over it. You have to constantly be thinking about how to get better. You have to constantly do this. But I'm like, dude, I'm starting to wonder, like, success is success. Like, I'm starting to learn it. It's like, you don't need to do that. It could help.
And no, I don't think it can help if you're obsessed with it 24/7.
If you have the personality style.
I think the very small percentage of it have that personality style, but also that's not healthy.
It's not.
So, every time I take a break from jiu-jitsu, I come back and I feel more polished and dialed in. What I say is, so like when you train, right, you get in your rhythms, you get your routines, right? Well, some of that shit doesn't work, but you're used to doing it. So it's like I'm saying jiu-jitsu, so I don't know in sales, but you get in your safety position where you're not advancing, but that person's not going to get a submission on you. Mm-hmm. And in whatever position you're in, they have your back, you're in half guard, side control, whatever the case is. You get there, and then okay, you just become complacent. Okay, I'm going to wait for my opening in the safe position where you're not doing anything. I'm sure there's things in those calls too. You can get stuck in the safe position where you're still talking to them and you're getting them close to a sale, but you probably aren't going to finish and close on the sale, but you're not going to get the no. Right. So when I take that break and I come back, I'm not settled in and dug deep groove of that complacent position. I'm just flowing and more relaxed and I'm being more creative. So I think taking that step back and taking a break resets those routines where you kind of, trim off the fat and you're just left with the leanness of what actually works.
Absolutely. And I'll say this too. The whole obsession thing, if you're just sitting home on the couch obsessing over, I don't have, the dollar amount I put in this year isn't good enough and this guy's doing whatever. But if you redirect that into, okay, let me obsess over ways I can improve. The way that I've done that is I try to apply all of the soft skills that are required in sales in my out of work life.
Give some examples.
I'll give you an example. When I first started and I had no sales experience, if it was something as silly or stupid as on a Friday night, the family's like, oh, hey, what do you want to eat? Let's order Italian. I'd make the phone call. I'd call up the restaurant and I'd place the order because it would give me an opportunity to speak to somebody over the phone who's super busy. I need to speak clearly and concisely and confidently about what I want, make sure they know, subtract that, extra this on this sandwich, whatever the case may be, greeting people, listening, expressing gratitude. That was an example. Another example would be, when it comes to rejection. So you go out into the dating market, just putting yourself out there more, talking to people, talking to random people, going to the grocery store and saying hello to somebody who you're going to get produce from. You're going to get a couple of tomatoes in a bag. The person next to you, oh, hey, hi, how you doing? I like the shirt or whatever. Going up the street to get ice cream. Somebody brings their dog. Oh, it's a nice dog. What breed is that? How old are they? Just putting yourself out there to have a dialogue. And if the person completely ignores you and says nothing, okay, let that be a repetition for work the next week. So you're used to people being off-putting or not giving you the time of day. But if you allow yourself to be in that type of an environment outside of work, but you're not thinking about work, you're just trying to go about your daily life, it almost becomes muscle memory. Another thing, when I got into much better shape, if I ever had a cheat meal, I would make sure that I would walk to where I'm going to get the cheat meal from. So to me, it was, I'm earning this. I'm walking to go get my favorite sub sandwich that I like, wherever, whatever the case may be, and then I'm walking back afterwards.
Yeah.
So to me, it's instilling the discipline of, okay, you got to enjoy yourself, but you had to put in extra work to get there, and you put in a little extra work on the way coming back just to kind of redirect your mind. So for me, it's, are you obsessing just to obsess over things that are very generalized, or are you obsessing and saying, okay, how do I put a blueprint in place to get better? And maybe that's listening to a sales podcast outside of work while you're grilling up something on the grill. Or maybe while you're watching Formula One, you're thinking of, questions to ask to a follow-up that you have next week. That's not ridiculous.
Yeah,
That's not unhealthy. But if you're just sitting in your room or you're just sitting on the couch thinking, oh, well, fuck this guy, he's having an amazing year and I'm not. Yes, you're stepping in quicksand.
Yeah.
And you're going nowhere really fast. You don't do those things, obviously, which is great. But I also think, man, we just need to accept the fact that we're all going to struggle at certain things, and it's a cycle, especially sales. Sales is a cycle. It's cyclical. You're going to have weeks where you're doing everything right. Your process is tight. You're asking great questions. Your attitude is on point. You're open-minded. You're taking coaching. And the other person on the other horn it's not going to move them. You're going to have a follow-up, 3 follow-ups on the calendar. They all don't answer. That's out of your control. Does that mean you did something wrong, or does that mean something in the universe just the stars didn't align? But what the great people do and the really good people do is they don't let that serve as a cue to change everything. They know when to stay the course, and they know when to make adjustments. That's what it's all about. It's about knowing when you need to change and when you need to just continue to ride the status quo, and understand that the things working against you are not an indictment on your process or lack thereof.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, because there are some things that I'm noticing too where it really just is like what works for one person may or may not work for you. Mm-hmm. Like there's so many things where this one actually I let it bother me a little bit, and I was just like, no, I'm not going to listen. And if they want to do it, no, seriously. And I was like, when I leave the message, when I leave voicemails, I get a good amount of calls back from my voicemails. They're very short and sweet. I'm not tricking you. I say my name. I say where I'm from. I'm reviewing your account, and I have a question for you. Please call me back when you get a chance. Number, boom, hang up. I remember someone was like, you said please? I go, yeah. He goes, I dropped that. I go, great. Please sounds a little bit desperate. No, it doesn't. It's expressing kindness. Then someone was like, yeah, it's like, oh, please. It's like, okay, if I sound desperate when I say please, please call me back. I haven't had anyone call me back. Please, sure. But if I'm just saying it with, hey, please call me back, that's just called being respectful. I get so many. And the funny thing is, I get more calls back than the people who don't say please. Mm-hmm. And it's not because it's please. It's because I know what's going to work for me, and I'm sticking to it, like you said. Now, I used to ask, before you came on and before I started listening to you, I'm going to toot your horn. I used to always either ask, hey, how you doing? Or did I catch you at a bad time? Then I started listening to Jake, and it was so simple. Jake from so-and-so? Yeah. Reviewing your account, blah, 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 and just goes right into it. And something clicked for me, and I was like, that's phenomenal.
For
it's
me,
so
get to the fucking
simple.
point. Yeah.
And that's what I've done from now on, and it works for me all the fucking time. Just as gaining access. Because I used to ask people, did I catch you at a bad time? Yeah, and I would never get them on the phone again.
Yeah, because
it's always a bad time.
Here's the reality, right? If they really want to take it out, they're going to take it. They're going to hang up on you. They're going to say, I'm in a meeting, call me back. Or, I'm in the middle of something, I can't do this right now. Okay, cool. But as soon as you say, is now a bad time, you think you're being courteous, but you're actually showing a lack of respect for your own process, because you're signifying to them almost in an apologetic way, my time is not valuable. So if you have something better that you'd like to be doing, you don't need to be speaking to me. And the whole, how are you doing? I want to preface by saying that if I introduce myself and the next thing that person says is, oh, hi, how are you? I will say I'm doing very well. Hope the same for you. So I'm not going to completely disregard that.
100%.
But it's just the typical salesy thing. They know they're being buttered up for something. But if you just go about it very matter-of-factly and say who you are, you build that credibility really quick, and you get to exactly why you're reaching out. It's not a guarantee that they're going to listen to you, but at least you're cutting out all the fluff, and you're just trying to sound like an actual person having a conversation. Where people run into issues is when they try to sound too perfect.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think in life in general, less is more. Because if you think about the daily conversations that you have, you're not thinking ahead of time about making sure that everything you say is expressed perfectly. You want to make sure you know how to articulate yourself, obviously, and you don't mumble through dialogue. But you're not trying to make sure that every syllable comes across as effortless, unless you're having you're giving a commencement speech at college, or you're doing a TED Talk somewhere. You just got to it has to be natural. It has to be authentic, and their guard will come down. I'm not gonna say they gravitate towards it, but their guard will come down, and it'll buy you the next couple seconds. And all we're trying to do in our profession, you and I, is just buy those extra couple seconds.
Yep. And another thing too, I want to circle back to the point. I hate that I just said I'm going to circle back.
Let's circle back.
I want to return
All right,
to
Jen Psaki.
Yeah, right. I want to return to the point that I said before, which is what works for you. Like when I said please works for me, and I don't buy into the bullshit of it sounds desperate, right? There is someone on our team, top performer, and guess what he asks all the time? Did I catch you at a bad time? Yeah. So while we don't like to say that, it fucking works for him. Yeah. So the lesson is, it's whatever you feel comfortable with, whatever you believe is gonna fucking work. If you say it with confidence.
Yeah. I'm assuming when he delivers that too, though, it's not like oh, hey, did I catch you at the bad time? No. It's, hey, did I catch you at the bad time? And then, like, it just goes right into it.
It goes right into, I got you. No, cool. This is what we're doing. Yeah. Or, yeah, okay, I'll keep it
not
quick.
The whole, passive, kind of bitchy, like, oh, did I catch you at the bad time?
Exactly. Which is with the please. Like,
the reason I don't like it is it signifies that what you're going to say next is not important. And that's already going to piss the person off, because they know they're going to think in their head, they're going to frame it in their mind, all right, he's about to ask me some bullshit that I'm going to completely tune out. That's just my opinion. That's why I wouldn't go there with it. But I also think it deals the type of person that you're dealing with. And I also think the way that they react when they answer the phone will probably let you know the things you can get away with. If somebody picks up and they go, hello, I wouldn't recommend that. I would recommend just getting down to brass tacks and see. But if you pick up somebody and they go, oh, this is Bob. And then you go, oh, hey, blah, 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 I'm so-and-so. And they go, oh, hey, how are you? Maybe you get away with it is now a bad time. And maybe you can buy those extra couple seconds to get to your message. But my philosophy has always been just get to the point as quickly as possible. Because if it's not a fit, you can move on just as quickly as they can to their day. You can move on to the next person on the conveyor belt for us.
Yeah, for sure. But like I said, I agree with you when it comes to this point. But I'm also going to say, and I know you're saying this too, I'm learning that it's just whatever works for you, man. Like, because if that person on our team is listening right now, he's not going to change, and I don't want him to change because
do your thing.
He was top performer.
Yeah.
He was top dog last year. Like, why are you going to change what works for you? But yeah, it's a good point. It's just so weird. You know what it is this is why I stopped reading sales books. When I first started, I read a sales book before I was even on the phones. I reread it when I got on the phones. I read Voss's book, which is a great book, by the way, Never Split the Difference. I read this dude's book. I read that dude's book. And then I realized I'm just reading the same fucking thing where the author is one thing that works for them that they like that completely contradicts the one thing from this book. And I'm like, all right, dude, I learned really quickly. It's what works for you.
Don't forget, you got to read Grant Cardone's book.
I'm not reading Grant Cardone's book, bro. Fuck that.
Fuck that guy.
Look, I don't know. He's successful.
No, fuck that guy.
But
fuck that guy. Anyway, sidebar. Sorry.
No, yeah. So, what do you have anything to add to this from your end? Because you have an engineering background, it's a little different, but still, you're still working as a team. You're still trying to achieve a goal.
I'm more the other end of the spectrum. I get fucking spam phone calls all the time. Like, my bank called me the other day, and like, is there anything I can help you with? It's like they're like, hey, is this my name? I'm like, what do you want?
Yeah.
As soon as I say, what do you want? Get to the fucking point. Yeah. I'm in the middle of doing something. I see my bank's calling me. I'm gonna answer, make sure it's not something critical. Yeah. Right? You know, I hope no one hacked my account. We're from this branch. Stop. I don't fucking care what branch. I see that, hey, this is PNC Bank. We're calling to see if you need help with anything. I don't need to know what bank you're from, what branch.
Yeah.
So you wasted 15 seconds of my time. You could have got to the point. No, I don't need help. Yeah. There's been times where they've called and like, hey, actually, yeah, I was looking at this. Do you guys offer that? No, you guys don't. Okay, cool, bye. But like, get to the fucking point.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's me. I'm an engineer. I don't like fluff.
But it's just good to hear from the opposite spectrum because I always want to hear what it's like from the opposite spectrum.
But just get to the point. Get to the point.
Yeah, good.
Get to the point. And then like what you were saying, Jake, about the guy. Oh, hey, this is Bob. What's going on? And like you could say, is this a bad time? But that guy clearly is going to have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
So why even waste the time talking? Like when you were walking through, I'm like, you could say this here, but I don't see it being constructive. Like it just sounds like fluff.
No,
like
it's
filler words.
It's not conducive, and a lot of sales is timing and striking while the iron's hot and knowing when that person is ripe to have the conversation, take the conversation further. And a lot of times what we do is we miss that. We're all human. We miss when they're giving a clear signal of interest in buying or moving forward in the process. But we try to, sometimes we fall victim to making sure that we follow our script meticulously. There are times where you do have to go off course, but in a good way. So if you're talking to somebody and in the first minute they're interested in proceeding with whatever you're offering them, go over how much it costs, whatever you have to do, but then get onto those next steps. You don't have to go through in your head, oh, well, they're already jumped to yes, they want to buy, but I didn't hit on these other 2-3 key points that I normally do, because it's not necessary in this moment. You need to know when to pivot and when to change things around. And again, that's why I take back to, you have to have that instinct to know when your process isn't working or when you can abandon certain aspects of it to get to the goal, which is obviously bringing people on board. But even that goes in anything. In jiu-jitsu, if you normally hit a certain move this way and you set it up with different fakes and lulling somebody into thinking you're doing one thing but you're actually doing another, if there's an opening to get someone's neck or to get their arm and you don't have to do those other things to kind of butter them up to fall for something else, just go right for it. If there's an opening, take it. Why go through, if there's, steps 1 through 4, if you can get to 4 after 1, why are you doing 2 and 3?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like that.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it does translate to a lot of things in life. It's not just that. This one thing, bro. Life is literally everything you learn in one aspect you can utilize in other aspects. Some.
What's it? The Book of Five Rings. Rogan always talks about. You see the way in one, you can see it in all. I think it's one of the lines from it.
I've never seen that. I gotta start reading again. I used to read 10 pages a day every day.
I tried. It's like a 300-year-old book.
Yeah,
from Japan.
Pull that up, Jamie.
Yeah, Jamie. Hey, Jamie, can you pull that up? Hey, Jamie, can you pull that up, please?
I hope he pays that kid well.
Bro, that guy makes millions a year. I don't know that for a fact, but if you have $100 million Spotify deal and
he gets paid pretty, dude,
he definitely.
Everyone, it's just amazing because he runs the whole show and then still looks shit up.
Yeah,
while doing it,
and he already knows what they're gonna ask. He does live editing too. I'm pretty sure there's no editing afterward. Yeah. I think he's just he's live doing that shit. So that motherfucker is definitely making a lot of money.
Yeah, the one thing I'll say about Rogan is there are people that I wish he would bring on, but I feel like yes, he has free range to talk about whatever he wants to within theory, because we obviously know that there are limits. Businesses are businesses, so if you do speak about certain topics that are maybe taboo or can ruffle certain feathers, you need to steer clear of that. So there are certain topics that he touches on where he brings on just more mainstream people, whether it's journalists or analysts, and I'd like to see him maybe have the opportunity to bring on people that are maybe a little less well-known, that maybe don't have as big of a platform.
But I think Rogan... All right, for example, give me one. Who do you think?
I don't know. I just think even if you look at comedians, right? He's always bringing on the biggest... he'll bring on a lot of big names, but I'd also like to hear from maybe some of the lesser known people.
He's brought on a bunch of up-and-comers and stuff, too.
I think he bases it off of his, when it comes to the comedian, I can't speak for him, but he tends to bring on his friends or people
friends, and then occasionally Theo Vaughn he brought on. They never met before, and this is before Theo Vaughn blew up. Here's the thing too: is the aspect is the Joe Rogan effect they talk about on all the time. If you get onto Joe Rogan's podcast as a comedian, you're guaranteed to blow up, almost guaranteed.
Yeah.
So if you don't know that person, if you didn't catch the episode until after you're kind of thinks he's popular, but he's had a bunch of other ones. But the problem is that he dug the groove of his guests and the people. He brings Mike Baker on all the time, former CIA guy.
Yeah.
So he's gonna talk to him still, but to get other people that are a different former CIA I could see being
or
probably
even
not the best
somebody who's
example,
like more
but
fresh out of CIA, or somebody who was like an ex-Ranger, for example. People like, aside from the people that we all know, like maybe somebody who's been in more recent conflicts that can speak to the present day military or the present day dynamic and conflicts around the world.
Sorry, go on.
No, that's pretty much it. I just like to see people that maybe don't have as big of a platform, the opportunity to share their knowledge and maybe give a perspective that maybe we haven't heard before. But obviously he's incredibly big, and he knows what he's doing. Doesn't need my advice. That's just more as a fan. I'd like to see more.
Yeah, I think
more people that are maybe under the radar.
I think the tough part is that everyone's clawing at the tit just to get onto that show.
Yeah.
So the weed through the bullshit and all the extra crap, and then like he's got to take a chance on this. I'm going to say nobody, but that I'm using that term sloppily. But bring on a nobody.
Yeah.
He's gambling on it being good or not, and it probably will be a good podcast regardless. But will this be a truly this was a good podcast, or this was a good podcast because it was terrible?
Well,
did you guys listen to the one that the guy who runs all of Egypt's historical shit? I forget the guy's name, but it was one of the worst fucking podcasts ever. The guy just was tooting his own horn, saying he basically runs Egypt and all the archaeological stuff, and he's the one that does it all. It was the worst fucking podcast. I couldn't finish it.
Yeah, but see, all press is good press, right?
Yeah.
In the comments section was probably like, fuck this douchebag, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, that's getting him views, right?
Yeah,
so,
that's my point, is that was the bad one, and it still was a good one.
Yeah, dude, the one thing about Joe Rogan, Joe Rogan or any of these guys, right? What you said is trying to, they're clawing out. There's a lot of people, bro. Obviously, if you get asked to go on Joe Rogan, you're going to go on Joe Rogan unless you don't like it. That's going to build your brand up. It's going to, whatever you're trying to promote, or just you in general, is going to get your face out there. I have no problem with people doing that. But I could imagine I'm trying to put myself in his fucking shoes. He's got to choose it wisely, because you can sniff out the people who are being disingenuous trying to go on the show, right?
Absolutely.
You can definitely see who's trying to do it. Obviously, when the people are going on there, they're doing it. One, there's holy shit, I get to go on the most famous podcast in the world, get to speak to Joe Rogan, and yes, there is a selfish part of it. I'm going to be able to put my story out there. That's fine. But I could only imagine how many people try to kiss his fucking ass to get on that show.
Yeah.
And that's not okay. That would weird. Suck. Yeah. You said Army Ranger. There's a guy who should get on the show. But obviously, Rogan knows what he's doing. There is a guy who would have a great story, and I've listened to his podcast, and I've mentioned him on this show. Is Greg Anderson, Endless Endeavor podcast out of Washington State.
I'm surprised he never actually got on.
Bro, he's got the great story. He's the one who Seattle police officer went viral because during COVID, he was in his uniform and was like, guys, we're not here to arrest people for not having masks on or tell people they can't walk in the park without a mask. That's not our job. And then everyone agreed with him. But the chief was like, yeah, you got to take that down. And he goes, fuck you, I'm not taking it down. Gets canned, and has now his jiu-jitsu academy is growing whatever X. Mm-hmm. He's got a 600, I think it was a 600% increase in people. He's got a huge gym out in Washington. And I've met him, very good dude from what I've seen, very genuine dude. And just to listen to his story from episode, I think it was
he was an Army Ranger, right?
Yeah, Army Ranger. And he was also a private contractor in Iraq. So he would be a fucking sick story to have on Rogan. To hear his podcast episodes that I listened to from episode X to episode now, he's changed spiritually.
Yeah.
He's changed as a person. He tells you on the show, and I'm like, this is a story of a lesser known, quote unquote, even though his podcast is fucking big, lesser known, that would be a great story to have while someone's fucking hammering people upstairs.
Yeah, it's Dexter up there.
Yeah. But see, it's true. It would be cool. There's a lot of interesting people that could go on a show. Dude, that's why I love going, all right, full circle. If you're on Rogan, you must be extraordinary. You must have done something extraordinary. Dude, think about how many fucking millions of people can go on Rogan's show, no names, and have a fucking insane story.
It was funny. I popped up today on my Instagram. The one girl he had on from, I think, Texas, the beekeeper. I follow her on Instagram now. It was just a fucking beekeeper.
And see.
Yeah.
So she went on because she's not going to say no.
Yeah.
Now her Instagram blows up. What she's doing blows up. And she gets to have a conversation with Rogan. And it's a different perspective. It's a lesser, she's not a lesser as a human being, but lesser known person now on the show.
Yeah.
Brings a cool interest. I don't know. It's cool.
The guy at the boneyard in Alaska.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not going to have on the Liver King anytime soon.
No, fuck that. That guy's so weird, dude. Oh, that's another thing that pisses me off these days. People like, dude, it's so, I hate this. Especially on Instagram, you could tell when they're trying to make funny reaction videos, and it's like, this is so clearly planned by both people.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that doesn't make your video cool. It actually makes you make fun of you. Or you could say, oh, but you're watching it. Yeah, dude, if I'm scrolling in the reels and it just happens to be the next reel.
The cringe.
Right? Like, it's like, dude, that sucks. Like, and the reason why I say that, Liver King absolutely did that for the fucking views and for the press. It's like, dude, you're a loser.
Yeah.
You're an absolute fucking loser.
It's what the 10 ancestral tenants taught him.
Yeah.
Fucking jerk off.
Right? Dude, he's such a loser. Yeah,
Dude, I'm 100% clean. I don't take steroids. Okay, dude.
Yeah, sure.
He was spending like $100,000 a month or something like that.
You're spending like tens of thousands of dollars on growth and
Let's ask
everything. Like, come on,
ChatGPT.
bro.
Imagine this.
And you look terrible, by the way. Like, I mean, if he's doing it just for the vanity aspect of it, like, and you want to talk about how healthy you are, yes, growth makes every organ in your body grow.
Dude, imagine if he marketed himself this way. Yo, I eat liver every day. This is my diet. My diet consists of liver and this types of meat, and I work out a lot. I'm outside and thing. And yes, guys, I do take steroids.
It was $11,000 a month.
$11,000 a month?
$11,000 a month on steroids.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's the thing about steroids. I don't like steroids, but here's the thing about steroids. If you take steroids, like the misconception of a lot of people is that if you take steroids, you're automatically like the Liver King. No, your body's just going to recover fast enough, and it's going to, right? It's going to recover fast enough to allow you to get to that point. Great. If, like I said, if he marketed himself as, hey guys, I'm on steroids, flat out, but I do eat a lot of liver, people are still going to be like, damn, bro, look at the liver he fucking eats. That's weird. That's unique. I don't know. Let me follow this guy. He eats liver. Okay, he takes steroids. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. But damn, dude, he's able to do that and eat this as his diet while taking steroids, and he looks like that. It's pretty cool. And he wouldn't have gotten himself into this mess. Yeah. But instead, he's a lying piece of shit.
He could have just not said anything about steroids ever, and then when he gets called out, he just pulls like they do on the WWE. Just pretend like it doesn't happen. Yeah. I don't just... Brush it off. Like, do they ever talk about it's not real? No, they don't. But everyone knows it's not real.
Everyone knows it's not real.
Leave it to that. Do you think The Rock doesn't take steroids?
Bro, The Rock definitely
100%.
The Rock
but no one ever talks to him about it. And if they do, he changes. You got to navigate it.
Bro, he's like eats like 13,000 calories a fucking day. Like he's definitely on steroids, but it's like, dude, who cares?
Yeah, that dude. I think you're right though. He did that. Whichever one said it. I think he did that for publicity.
100%. But then he's a dumbass too. Well, he's a dumbass too because now. Okay, you can't. He's like he can't own a gun now.
I don't think he cares.
Yeah, but still, dude, like you just fucked yourself.
Yeah, but I don't think he cares about that. I think he cares about the limelight and money, and
he probably owns guns famous. Anyway because that is your Second Amendment right. But like, still, like you just fuck yourself. I don't know. Now you look like a loser, dude. I don't care. He doesn't care that I'm calling him loser, but he's a fucking loser.
Yeah, I mean, look at him. Anyway. Let's not talk about fucking that dweeb.
Yeah, he did the right thing. Fuck, bro. He did exactly. He got us talking about him. Fuck people. We fucked up. Sorry.
You got anything else you want to talk about, Jake? What's on that tip of the tongue? I see something.
You know what's interesting? I was on Twitter yesterday and fucking John Jones said that he's.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
I hate him.
Said he's re-entered the testing pool because there was talk of there being a UFC event at the White House or on the White House lawn or whatever the case may be.
Yo, I thought that was a meme.
No,
I don't know. Serious? I think he's having fun with the public, which is great. And I know Joe doesn't like him, but
dude, here's the thing. Here's the thing about John Jones.
Oh, you don't like him.
Here's why. Okay, first of all, if I'm gonna learn the mistake that I just made for Liver King, John Jones was successful in doing why he did it because we're talking about him now. Here's why I don't like him, dude. Yeah. Let's get out there. Oh, but he'd beat the shit. No shit. He beat the shit out of 99% of men. All right.
Yeah.
In this world, he would. He's a professional fighter, and he's one of the best to ever do it. He fucking ruined his legacy. Sure. Does he care? He says he doesn't because he's getting the publicity. He did. Bro, just like, who cares, bro? You were the best. You ducked fucking Aspinall for sure.
I'm not willing to go that far.
He ducked Aspinall. Bro, who cares? Dude, there's one thing is, you're the best. Oh, I never had a loss. So I don't know too much to know about the no contest. I don't give a shit.
I forget, that was the 12-1.
No, he fought Matt Hamill and he got disqualified. Listen, by the rules of the way that it was set up back in 2009, I think that's when they fought, 2009, 2010. Yes, he did something illegal and he got disqualified. That being said, he did throw Hamill onto his head, got him into full mount, and was going to win the fight anyway. He just chose to get a little sloppy and reckless in putting 12-6s that he didn't need to do.
Yeah.
He could have easily just kept ground and pounding and gotten the finish. So he got a little overzealous there. So, yes, all intents and purposes, he's never been bested in the cage as far as, like, judges gave a decision to somebody else over him.
No, look, I don't care. Good. Let's just give him the win. So he's never had a loss. I don't care. Just give him the win. Bro, you have Aspinall now. When you beat DC, Daniel Cormier, he was 36 when you were in your 20s. Now you're trying to fucking say, and I know it's for the money and for the marketing, but now you're going to say, oh, Aspinall wants to fight me because I'm 37 past my prime. Fuck you. You beat someone when they were past their prime. Yeah. And who was a champion? You're the champion. Either vacate or defend it. Oh, but yeah, thank you, man. I've never got this much media attention in my life. Yeah, we get it, dude. You're making millions off of this shit. Shut the fuck up and fight or vacate.
I think he's trying to do that because he just got caught in another car accident and was caught threatening a cop. Oh, dude. He I think they called the girl, and the girl said he was driving him on the phone, and he was like threatening the cop on the phone or some shit. The drunk driver. So I think that's why. I don't think this was a complex theme of trying to get attention. I think that he's trying to get the attention off from that shit by talking about coming back.
Yeah, dude. I don't know.
And this White House thing was just an easy fucking grab.
Dude, honestly, if he came back, fought Aspinall, and beat the shit out of him, you know what I would say? See? That's all you had to do the first time.
Well, I think his point is there's always going to be somebody new coming around. So no matter who it is, if he beats Aspinall, somebody's going to say, oh, well, this guy's, why don't you fight Pereira? Or, why don't you fight Ngannou? So nothing will ever be good enough. So I understand that side of it. I will say, if we take him at his word, and that may not be the wisest thing to do, but if we took him at his word for sake of argument, and he told the UFC in November of 2024, after he beat Stipe, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't care how much money you offer me. And the UFC sat on it because they were trying to convince him, then that's on them. Mm-hmm. I choose to believe that they offered him an amount of money that he rejected and said, you know what, I'm good. I don't want to fight anymore. But they wanted to hold out hope that they could change his mind. Yeah. So at some point, the UFC has to be at fault for stringing Aspinall along. People talk about, oh, well,
no, Dana.
Aspinall was left in the lurch, and yes, that sucks to have almost a year of your career be wasted just sitting on the sideline. But if he truly told the UFC months ago, let's say the beginning of the year, like, dude, I'm out. You offered me my money. I'm cool. I'm done, whatever. Then the UFC should have been like, okay, we're stripping your belt, which he says he doesn't care about, and I believe him. Okay. Take the belt off him, promote Aspinall the champion. They could have done everything they did 2 weeks ago. It sounds like they could have done that 6 months ago.
Yeah.
But they were worried about MSG not having a main event probably, so they don't want to do that. But if the guy said that he didn't want to fight anymore, that's fine with me. But I don't think I don't think the guy... You can make a bigger argument that he ducked Ngannou a couple years ago than ducking Aspinall. I just think that he saw it as the juice isn't worth the squeeze. And full disclosure, had he fought Aspinall, I was going to bet an irresponsible amount of money for Jones to finish him.
I think Aspinall would have finished him. I think Jones was, dude. I think Jones can make, dude. Oh God! All right, I'm. Speaking,
and I don't dislike Tom Aspinall. By the way, shout out to him. I hope he has a really long career and does extremely well. There are people that I think, and I'm not accusing you of this, there are people that are that come out of the woodwork. I go on Twitter, and there are these anonymous 20-year-olds that started watching the sport in 2019 that are like, oh, Jones is the most overrated UFC champion of all time. His record's been padded. I'm like, you guys don't know what the hell you're talking about. You're using your dislike for him as a person, which is fair game. Guy has a checkered past at best, so I get that. But people now are trying to tear down him as a fighter, which I just think is utterly ridiculous.
No, look, I'm completely armchair quarterbacking Dana White's decision to not strip him, because I'm not the CEO of that fucking company and I'm not in its daily operations. I'm absolutely armchair quarterbacking John Jones' decision and what he did. You're the champion. This is what people are not realizing. Sure. Did John make some really questionable personal decisions that show that he's probably not a good person? Yes. We all fuck up, dude. I mean, he fucked up pretty badly. No. But we
several
all
times.
Yes. Yeah. We all fuck up.
And he deserves all the criticism for that, because every bad decision that he's made that we know about that's been publicly documented, drunk driving or whatever, leaving the scene of, a pregnant lady that got hit, those years back. Those are not things you do under duress. Those are those are decisions that you made that you followed through on, that you were not coerced into. You understood in your mind what you were doing, and you deserve the criticism for that.
Yeah, no, 100%. And look, we all fuck up. All right. And I'm not even that big of a UFC fan to know everything about John Jones and people. No, dude, he's one of the best, right? It really boiled down to this. You're the champion. You defend. You vacate. You retire. Don't make a scene out of it. Because he's thinking, I don't care. Well, he's thinking the right thing. I don't care what anyone else thinks. Cool. That's a great thing to have in life. Mm-hmm. Where if you're doing you and you're succeeding, you're not hurting anyone. Fuck what anyone else thinks. Fuck the noise. I get that. But he thought he was actually doing something funny, and people were laughing with him. People were laughing at him. Dude, you're the champion. Vacate, fight, retire.
Yeah.
You're the champion. Let's look at it from 10,000 feet. You're the champion. You must defend, vacate, or retire. Dana White, I'm not in your position. I've never run an organization the size of you. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. You would have stripped anyone else. But since Jones makes you money, and he's made you money, you let it go on. Like you said, fucked up. Sorry, I'm not you, Dana White. I'm not in your position. I can go fuck myself in your eyes.
Heavyweight division's very weak, so they listen.
Strip
the reality of the
make
matter
the
is, Aspinall's going to run roughshod through the entire heavyweight division. I mean, listen, he's eventually going to get sick of. He's going to fight Ciryl Gane next, probably. Okay, the guy that Ngannou beat handily. Jones finished. Aspinall won't have any trouble with him. Who's next after that? Almeida, Blades again, Volkov, Pavlovich, who he beat already. It's just the heavyweight division is in such peril right now. The best thing that Aspinall can hope for just interest in actually being motivated to fight these guys is if Pereira could somehow get the title back at light heavyweight, and then he moves up to try to get a third title. But it's just the division is so weak right now, and it's unfortunate because it would have been an intriguing matchup. But I can't ascribe to the line of thinking that Jones would. The way that I think about it is professional cage fighter afraid to fight another professional cage fighter. Is he afraid of losing his perfect record?
Sure.
I think Jones is the type of person where if he ended his career getting knocked out or losing,
it would affect
questioning his lack of impulse control, that could probably set him down a really bad path where he would that could really take a toll on his mind. That I think, but I don't think that he's afraid of Tom Aspinall, the human. The guy's the most dangerous person with just his limbs walking the planet right now.
Yeah, dude.
These guys aren't afraid of each other. Is the point that I'm trying to make? No. Would he be worried about losing his zero?
Sure.
Losing his undefeated persona? That's a big part of his brand.
Sure.
Yes, that absolutely. Same thing with Floyd Mayweather. Like that 50-0 is everything to him.
Yeah,
everything.
100%. And like anyone who is speaking to it outside of the afraid to lose the undefeated persona is kidding themselves. If there is anyone actually thinking that John Jones is scared to fight, that's very silly. And you should definitely question that, because he's not scared of Aspinall. He may be scared to lose to Aspinall. That doesn't mean he's going to be scared to... Like, if Jones is here right now, right? If Jones is here now, I'd be like, hey, Jones, I know you could kill me right now, and I know it's probably going to piss you off. You should have defended. You should have vacated. You should have retired. You didn't really do a good job for your publicity, even though it made you money. And he'd be like, well, I'm like, yeah, I know you can kill me right now. Like, I'm not calling you a pussy as a human being. I'm just saying you probably fucked up.
Yeah.
I know he can kill me.
His whole argument was, okay, if I go and I fight Alex Pereira and Pereira beats me, that's more, I guess, acceptable in the public in the sense that here's a kickboxing champion, a guy with crazy power. But it also would be a shrewd business move on his part, because he'd be fighting a guy who's completely one-dimensional, who has no grappling acumen to speak of. So all he knows that I would just have to slip a couple kicks, punches, get him to the ground, and it would be, night all over. He knows that Aspinall would be a harder puzzle to solve, but I think it really would come down to he just wouldn't. I don't think there's a specific amount of money that he'd be willing to take to risk the possibility of losing. But here's the thing, though. The guy's fight IQ is so high. He's so smart when it comes to fighting. I believe that he would find a way to win it. I know that he's not as quick as he used to be. He's older now, but it's the other side of it. I'm sure, Timmy, you remember Shane Carwin from the early 2010s. He was the guy who fought Brock Lesnar.
I recognize the name. Okay.
Yeah, he was a bald guy who fought Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar was about to lose to him, about to get finished, but then he choked him out with an arm triangle. Shane Carwin was a guy. Finish. Shane Carwin was a guy who was murdering everybody in the first round, knocking people unconscious, sleeping them. Like they were comparing him to like Tyson of the UFC, just one punch knockout power. He fought a guy who took him into the deep waters, and he couldn't swim. He sank. Testament to Brock Lesnar's toughness, obviously. The narrative is, Jones has never fought somebody as fast as Tom, and maybe that's true. But the counter argument is Tom's never fought somebody who is this durable, this smart, this crafty, this experienced. So I think that gets lost in the mix, and I think that is clouded by people have such a hatred and disdain for John, which I understand, but I would bet on that guy to win until I was literally proven otherwise and he was laid out sprawled on the ground or he lost a decision. And I don't see Tom beating him in a decision. I see him getting caught. If he doesn't catch John, I would see John just wearing him out and winning a decision, or maybe even getting a submission on him.
Hey, that's fair. I don't know too much.
We'll probably never know.
We'll never know. So at that point, hey man, that's a fair take on it. But once again, just like the Liver King, John is successful in doing what he wanted to do, is that having people talk about him. So yeah, that's good. You have anything else?
That's we definitely covered a lot. So if there's anything else top of mind for you?
For the July sales tactics.
Well, even sales, just life tactics of constant comparisons, belief in oneself. What else did we cover?
Philosophical belief on progress in life.
Progress.
Personal development, all that shit.
Cars driving themselves. Or aliens driving them from somewhere else.
Yeah, there we go.
I like that. I don't know where you guys fall on the spectrum, man, but I always laugh when people are like, yeah, there's not life on other planets. I'm like, come on, bro.
No. Do you really think
that we're the only living organisms or the intelligent life in all of these universes and galaxies?
How about this?
It's just crazy to me.
How about other dimensions? Like there could be other. We only think about it from this dimension. How about spiritual beings in other dimensions? That's a different being.
And people always say, well, how come we haven't seen them yet? Because if there are aliens out there, what the fuck can they... what benefit do they get out of interacting with us? It would be a complete waste of time. They look at people and say, "Oh, you guys kill each other over which god you believe in. You guys, don't care about." The people less fortunate than you around the world. You pollute the earth. You don't take care of the environment. You aren't nice to your neighbor, proverbially. What could they possibly gain from interacting with us?
Yeah, that's look.
That who's to say that they're not interacting with us?
Yeah, they probably are.
That's true.
You never.
I'm just saying,
if they're so advanced, why can't they just disguise themselves?
The only thing they would get out of coming here is if they wanted the resources that we have. Like, you have really nice mountains, you have really nice lakes. Let's just get you guys out of Dodge, and we'll take this over for ourselves.
Dude, honestly, man.
Oh, you mean like I'm not even going down that rabbit hole. I'm not touching that. Yeah. Anyway, go on. What were you saying?
No, nothing. I think it's a good point here. I think we'll have to have you on for a number 3 to have those types of talk. Anyway, guys.
Listen, pitchforks will be out for me, bro.
No, it's all good, bro.
Gotta tread lightly with certain topics, but...
no, hold on. I'm glad you brought that back up. That's a shame. There are things that you would say, not you, just that someone could say that would be a little out of hand, and it's negative and it could hurt you, yes. But I think to a point where if you're just having a discussion, you're not hurting anyone, you're just expressing your opinions. If someone is going to try to ruin your life over you having an opinion that's different than them, that's not harmful, that is a very bad thing in our society. And unfortunately, it is pretty rampant in our society. And I think it really boils down to people just being a fucking bitch.
Yeah.
Simple.
Super scientific. I love it.
Dude, no, seriously.
Don't be a bitch.
No, there's no science behind it, dude. If someone is like I said, there are some things where it's like, okay, bro, you said that, you fucked up, you shouldn't have, now your business is suffering, now maybe you shouldn't have said that word, maybe you should have known, but it's crazy how you will have a political opinion or religious opinion, and someone now you lose a job because you didn't say anything crazy. You just expressed your opinion, which is their freedom. And now people don't want to be associated with you because, or you don't want you to be associated with their organization because now it looks like, dude, it's like, bro, that is just ridiculous. Let's get past that, man. Get past that. I don't know. But hey, man, it's stupid, but what it is, who knows, man? I don't really know. I'm just, have thicker skin. I don't care that if you I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like if I don't like something, I don't associate myself with it.
Yeah.
But I also don't I'm not gonna ruin your fucking life. What are we talking about? Anyway,
live and let live.
Live and let live, unless you're hurting someone or yourself.
Libertarian point of view.
Yes. Thank you for being on the show again.
I appreciate you having me.
Yep. Thank you for some lessons that you actually that I was listening to, because I know at one point you said, I'm not talking about you, Joe, but you in general, but that point was actually toward me. So that was good. I enjoyed it. And look forward to have you back on again, brother.
Yeah, man. We'll talk about aliens.
Yeah.
Dinosaurs.
Down.
Yes, sir. Godspeed.
All right. Episode 184, guys. You heard it here. Let us know what you think. Let us know down below. Let us know in person. Try to cancel us if you want. It won't happen. You can't cancel me.
Or don't.
No, you just can't. We just won't care.
Can't cancel us. We don't have sponsors.
Yeah.
Besides Mikey.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mikey.
You listen and we'll take it from here. Enjoy.
See you next week.
Later.